Guys, I got an injury report for you. There was only two participants who did not practice. Jaron Christian with his knee and Dontrell Inman with a hamstring. Everybody else was a full participant. With that, we can open it up.
Hey, Ron. Just curious with regards to Jaron Christian. I guess just at this point, basically the halfway point of the season, what's your assessment of where he's at and kind of what the next step is for him?
Well, Toronto thought did some good things for us. Right now he's on the injury report, so we'll see how things come out in the next whenever he's back out on the field. But he's done some good things though.
Hey, Ben, you're muted.
Sorry about that. That was my Chris Russell moment. Sorry about that. We ask you often about Scott Turner and sort of where his, how he's progressing as a relatively new offensive coordinator. Just curious, this is your first time working with Jack Del Rio as your defensive coordinator. What have you kind of learned from him this year back, kind of how he approaches?
I like his approach. Jack and I come from the same era, so we're both a little on the crusty side. He's a tough taskmaster. He gets on the guys. I like that. I really do. I like his approach to the game. The one thing that Jack and I have is a mutual respect. And I will say this. This guy's had a lot of success, and so to have a guy like that with us right now, helping to lay the foundation defensively for us, I'm pretty excited about that.
Hey, Ron. I was curious just about the of last week. Did you guys really do a deep self-eval kind of the first half of the season and the staff, and kind of what did you get out of that?
I did and felt good about it. I think I got enough out of it that going forward, there are some things that we have to correct and work on and get better at.
Could you elaborate at all, or is that?
No, that I'm not going to elaborate on that. That's stuff that we keep in house, because that's stuff that we look at and say, okay, this area we've got to get better at. We got to get better at this situational type of football. That's stuff I don't want our opponents to know.
Okay, thanks.
JP, are you on? If not, Mike Phillips.
Can I ask you about your shirt, what it means?
Oh.
Is that new?
Yep. It's it's the word is Ubuntu. It basically stands for that I am because we are. A little bit of an idea that J.D. McKissick and I had talked about last week. It's something that I'd actually read about. The whole attitude and the idea is that to the success of the individual is the responsibility of the team, and the success of the team is the responsibility of the individual.
Morgan Moses was in here last week. He said you've essentially, the team has done a very good job of coming together, starting to create that culture. I was just wondering what your assessment is of maybe where you feel they are.
Well, I feel comfortable with the things that we've done. I think the guys are buying into the way we need to do things, the way we need to practice. I think the thing that we're trying to do is get guys that are like mind, that share in the vision, share in the process. I like what Brandon Scherf said after the Dallas game, and that is, I talked to the guys about the process. Everybody talks about the process of building. Well, there's a certain point the process has to end, and now the rest of it starts to take over, and that's kind of where I believe we are. I thought we had a real good couple of months leading up to where we are. I feel very comfortable and confident the guys understand what we want from them. And as we go through this, we're going to go through bumps. We're going to go through ups and downs. We'll have some really good periods and some real low periods, but it's all part of growing. And each thing that we do, I believe it's just, another part of growing. And so I'm pretty excited about where we are right now.
Ron, you've talked often about things you've learned as a coach. What have you learned about how to get a team playing well in their first game after the bye? What are some of the keys to getting their back in action there?
Well, don't go by my record, because I think I'm 50-50 or close to it, something like that. But, the thing about it really is again, I think to me is the approach has to be, this is a game that we're going to play. It's a very important game we're going to play. Why? Because it's the next one we play. I don't think you can get too wound up about it or too laissez about it. I think you have to just focus in and treat it as the next game you're about to play.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, you've talked a lot this season about trusting your gut and the importance of that and taking each situation case by case and making the decision that way. I wonder, like, do you at all evaluate your gut, which I know like might sound funny, but do you go back and think about, hey, this is what my gut said in this situation, this is what it said in that situation?
Yes. You know, and again, when we talk about gut, let's be very specific about my experience. You know, this is, you know, not that it matters anything for some of you folks, but this is my 35th year in the league. And I'd like to believe that my experience, my past experiences are going to help me make decisions. Now, we do an evaluation, our analytics guys, along with Rob Rogers, we will sit down on specific days and we'll go through certain things and we'll go through some of the decisions that are made. And not just my decisions, but we look at the decisions that are made throughout the league and we'll talk about it. And we'll put a video together. We'll go through that video. And it's an opportunity for us to look at decisions that I've made and decisions that have been made by other coaches. Hopefully that can help us be clear, you know, when we get in those type of situations, that we've thought about them. I have a checklist that I go through as well, that I like to look at prior to each game. And in that checklist, it talks about certain situations and circumstances that may come up, and you know, what those decisions are. You know, part of it will be, and again, here's a great example, and we talked about it. You know, I believe that when you're on the road and you score at the very end of the game, I believe you go for two. Now at home, what do I believe? Well, at home, I'll give you a little insight into it. Is that I'm gonna look at who we're playing, I'm gonna look at what their defense has done, and look at past experiences. That should help me make a good decision, and we'll go from there.
And even beyond, you know, specific game situations, I wonder if, you know, a tendency or something you feel on the practice field, I wonder how much, not second guess, but think through your decisions and kind of open source that. I wonder how much of that you focus on.
Well, I will say this. Do I think through the things once they're done? Yeah, I do. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to be true to who I am, and I'm going to stick to my guns. Now, eventually, if I look at it and certain things happen, like you're saying, certain trends, and they haven't been positive, maybe I need to rethink it. And that's really, I think, part of the process of us going through decisions that I've made, you know, in the past. When I sit down and talk with our analytics guy, when I talk with Rob, hey, maybe I need to reevaluate, maybe I need to rethink. So yeah, to your point, yes.
Thank you.
Ron, going back to Del Rio and his approach, I mean, at, you know, various stops in the past, he's been able to take a defense that has struggled before he arrived and really turn it around quickly. What is it about his approach where he's able to do that so efficiently, you think?
Well, I will say this, just in watching him, he's demanding and there's a certain discipline to the way he coaches, and I think which is really important in this league. And I'm not saying not all coaches, you know, they don't coach discipline, but there's just something about guys that have had experience and have had success in the past. So, you know, when you step to the forefront of a unit, and guys can sit there and go, dang, you know, this dude coached with Baltimore when they won the Super Bowl. He coached Ray, you know, oh, wow. You know, this guy, when he was in Jacksonville, had this kind of defense. He goes to Oakland, has this kind of defense. When he was in Denver with John Fox, they had this kind of defense. When he was in Carolina, he did. So he's got, you know, as they say, he's got a lot of skins on the wall. And I think that really carries credence with these players. And it's, you know, and if you show them, you know what you're doing, you show them you care about them being successful, I think that helps. And I think that's one of the things that Jack does.
And specifically with the defensive line, is that group playing as efficiently or having the impact that you envisioned it would have from the outside?
Having the impact that you would envision, but to be honest, I think it can be better. I really do. I think it's a good young group that's still learning and growing and figuring their way out. You know, there's still some elements of learning that they have to do, some bad habits that we've got to get corrected. When I say bad habits, some techniques that they used to use in a different style. This is a completely different defense. And so we've got to get them to learn those techniques and learn those habits and develop them. And you guys have heard me say it. it takes about 5,000 reps before things start to be different. And we're just, we're not even close yet. We still got a lot more work to do. We still got a lot more practicing to do and developing and growing to get this team where we want it to be.
Hey Ron, Moises Linares here. Do you approach Sunday's game any different than you did a few weeks ago, considering the fact that New York has been very competitive? Maybe the record doesn't reflect it, and last time you guys faced New York, it came down to the last play of the game.
The approach, I wouldn't say necessarily different. Again, it's a divisional game, so I think those things take care of themselves. People say, "Oh, you got to get geared up, get fired up." No, you don't. This is division. I mean, this is one of our rivals, one of our arch rivals. So I think our guys, their perspective, their outlook on this game is in the right place. Coaching wise, schematic wise, we have some ideas, some things that we want to do. Are they similar to what we did last time? Some of them are. Are they different? Yeah, some of them are. So our approach, I think, is really where it needs to be because this is a division rival.
And to follow up, your shirt Ubuntu, does it have anything to do with Doc Rivers and the Celtics back in 2008? Have you spoke to Doc Rivers about that, that mentality and the success that team had in sports? Yeah,
it has a lot to do with it. As I said, I had a conversation with J.D. McKissick, and he had actually brought that to my attention about what Doc Rivers did. And we had a great discussion. Now, this is something that I had looked up and researched a year ago and thinking this is something that I would like to do someday. And so when JD and I talked about it, I thought, you know what, let's sit down and talk to the guys about it, which we did, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Ron, John Kime. Ron, now that you are able to be back on the field, you're not having to watch in a golf cart, are you able to now get back to coaching and doing things the way that you want to be doing them?
I think each day I'm getting better and better at it, John. I still have some things, I'm still taking medicine, and be very honest, I still nap before practice, because I get in, I'm getting close back to my normal morning schedule. I'm getting in, early 6 a.m. time, somewhere in there. And so I get tired. I still take a quick nap before I get on the practice field, get my energy level back up, and I'm starting to get mixing in with the players a little bit more. So it's getting to be coaching again for me personally. It really is. I mean, I struggled with, having to do things that I did the last few weeks, so being where I am today is believe me, is very refreshing. It really is, John.
And then with Steven Sims, and I know a big key is always how he progresses throughout the week, how he responds to the injuries, but how has he looked so far, and what have you missed not having him in there?
First of all, you notice my smirk because I don't have to answer the question because he's not on.
I wanted to take that away from you. I wanted to help out.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, he's worked. He's looked good. We'll see how he is tomorrow morning. Again, and I've said this, when guys coming back from injuries, you always got to see how he is the next morning and see to what degree, and then see how he practices. But he's done a nice job. What have we missed? We missed that underneath guy that works the underneath, that takes a little bit of pressure off of Terry and Cam and Logan. And so when you don't have that presence that's there, it kind of changes your approach. It changes, the targeting for the quarterback. It changes the way the offense is called. So hopefully he's back. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, he's done a nice job. He's worked in and out a couple of times. And we'll see how he is tomorrow after as much work as he got today.
Thank you.
Rhiannon?
Hey, Ron. I'm just curious, since it was a lot of your rookies' first time playing a divisional opponent the second time around, what are some things that you say to them that maybe they should look for from their first performance? I'm thinking specifically to Chase Young. Obviously, he's been a little cooler in terms of getting to the quarterback, like sack-wise, but other things he's done well. But what do you tell those guys basically to learn from their first time around with a divisional opponent?
Well, the biggest thing you're talking about is that just know that you're going to play these guys twice a year. So make sure you have a book on everybody. Make sure you have an understanding and feel for what they do. For the most part, a lot of times teams in your division, they're going to attack you the same way, especially if they have success. And that's the thing that they got to look at, is that look at the things that they did, look at the success they have, and you can anticipate them coming back with it. It's interesting because, Chase was just coming back from injury. So, he didn't play to the degree he wanted to. I promise you his outlook, his preparation this week has been really good.
We got time for 3 or 4 more.
Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ron, Scott Abraham, ABC 7. Sunday is the Salute to Service game, and I know
Right on.
this game is very personal to you with your father serving in the Army for 32 years. So how has growing up in a military environment shaped your leadership style as a coach and kind of guiding this team going forward?
Probably the first thing I learned is there's a chain of command. Everything starts at the top and it works its way down. One of the things that I've learned too, is about taking responsibility. No matter what happens, if you're in charge, you're responsible. It doesn't matter where the mistake came from. It always starts from you. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to make sure everybody understands, that, that the responsibility is mine and I accept it. I think part of it too is there's a certain discipline that you grow up with, growing up on an Army base, living on a military base, throughout the world for that matter. And so you understand that there is a discipline that's expected. And then there's, the esprit de corps. I mean, the companionship, the friendships, the spirit that you have for, being, and I'll say it, for being an Army brat, for growing up on Army bases. So I kind of feel the same way, now being on a football team. There is a certain element to us that I think is really cool, that you can only have when you're part of a team. So I think being, a military kid, an Army brat, has really helped to shape me.
Have you had conversations with some of your current players about supporting the military, supporting our veterans, kind of on and off the field? I have. It's a very natural thing around here. It really is. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, we haven't had the opportunity to do things that we typically would do, that I would normally do. I am looking for those opportunities to get back in touch with the military folks. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome, Scott.
Hey, Ron, just kind of following up on what Rhiannon asked about Chase. When you look at his sack numbers, do you think that's just like, do you think he's close to having?
Oh yeah.
Or like, what do you see as kind of maybe what's like the next step for him to get those numbers?
It's to continue to work at it. They can't get frustrated, because that's one of the things that happens with young players, is they want to explode onto the scene. And, first of all, he plays a position where they're going to pay attention to him. Okay. He's a rush in. So they're going to know where he is. And typically one of their best players is going to be assigned to him. And like we had in the past, he's going to get chipped. He's going to get doubled. They're just not going to let him go screaming off the edge. So there's a lot for him to work through and learn and understand. And he's growing. I mean, I will tell you, and I know you guys don't get to see it, but the way he practices is pretty impressive.
Got time for two more.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned after the Giants game about wanting to teach your players and your team how to win. I'm curious what steps you've seen in that direction and what more you're looking to see in terms of your team and your young players learning how to win in this league.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, and I talked about it, you learn to win because you play to win. And now you got to learn to win by practicing to win. I asked the guys, and I made a comment about it today. It says, are you, there's a little thing about how you practice. Did you practice like a champion today? And we're seeing it. We're seeing our practice habits are getting better. They're not where they need to be, and they're not where they should be. And we're going to work to get those things up, because they have to understand that, you take what you put on the practice field to the game field. And we have some veteran guys that practice the right way. We have some young guys that practice the right way. And again, Terry McLaurin's a great example of a young guy. Brandon Scherf and Morgan Moses is an example of older guys that practice the right way. We got to get everybody practicing the right way. I talked about it today. Guys that are on the show team, you can't think of it as, it's a hassle that I got to go, I'm on the show team. No, I'm on the show team. Now's a chance for me to work my skill set. Now's a chance for me to improve my technique. It's also a chance for me to help give a good picture and a good look for my teammates.
Last one.
Hey, Ron, this is Darren Haynes, WSA. You talk about the 35 years in the league, and the fans will be there on Sunday. From a player's perspective, from your past and being a head coach now, when you walk into that field, that arena, what kind of energy and memories does that bring for you, and how that helped you play and maybe some of your players when you have fans around?
Well, I think, Darren, probably the biggest thing that I really do appreciate, and I can't wait to have a full stadium here, has been this fan base. Most of my appreciation has come as an opponent. And I know, walking into this stadium when there's a crowd, it's not easy. And so that's one thing that you can always rely on as a player is that, especially if you're winning, that your home crowd is going to be there. They're going to be behind you. They're going to be fired up. They're going to get after the opponent. They're going to know when to cheer and when not to. And that you can draw energy from. When you make a big play or something great happens and the crowd erupts, that energy level is just crazy. It's been kind of strange because the first time against Philadelphia, walking in and not having anybody there. But to be honest with you, once the game started, I really wasn't aware that the crowd wasn't there until there was a lull. And then most recently against Dallas, when we had friends and family, that was pretty awesome because you could hear the families, and they were making some pretty good noise. So I'm excited. I know it's going to be a limited number this week, like 2,500, I think, 3,000. So it's going to be about 3,000 folks. And when the friends and family, which was somewhere around 500, making the noise they did, I can only imagine what 3,000 is going to sound like. But like I said, I can't wait to have 80,000 in that stadium because it's going to be pretty awesome.